Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel where I share tips on hotel management, hospitality management, and how one can use some of the tips that I share to become better hospitality or hotel owners across Airbnbs, restaurants, lodging and accommodation, and all the service sectors that are under the hospitality space. All right, so once again, my name is Obinna Osweke, and today I'll be sharing with you tips on budgeting. Now, this is going to be a series, all right? Budgeting is quite an overreaching topic. It has a lot of sections and aspects that has to be covered up. So I do not believe that just one episode will be able to do justice for that kind of topic. So I'll be breaking this into several parts or episodes or series that one can follow up to become better in running their business. Remember that budgeting is a very, very key aspect of any business that wants to succeed, because when you don't have a plan of your finances, it means everything works and then everything that just comes in and you do it the way you want and you may not get the result that you're looking for. So there should be a plan. There should be a financial plan. How much are you looking at making at the end of the month or at the end of the year? Then how much are you expected to spend to make that money? Because for you to make money, you need to spend money. That is just the truth, all right? So instead of saying spend, I think I would rather use the word invest, because you're going to invest into your business and then you have returns on the investment. So these things has to be spelled clearly. As a cost controller of the hotel, as a general manager of a hotel, you need to know your budget. What is your budget for food? What is your budget for beverage? What is your budget for maintenance? What is your budget for staff salaries? What is your budget for general expenditures, or some people call it miscellaneous? However, this budgeting series we're going to start, I would be taking a cue from the training I had with Professor Waziu Babalola, who happens to be the first professor of hotel management in Nigeria. And he took us through that using IFRS, that is International Financial Reporting Standards. And trust me, I have applied this standard for the past 2 years and it has been working effectively. And then if you do it, you're not just going to have a picture of where your business is supposed to be financially, you're also going to be controlling cost. You're also going to know exactly your performance. You'll be able to assess yourself, because if you don't do that, if you don't count what you are doing, if you don't assess, if you don't measure your work or measure your progress, you will not know when you are hitting your target or when you're not. So to be an effective manager, to be an effective business owner, you actually need budgeting. All right, because of how cumbersome budgeting is, first we're going to break it down into different segments. So the first segment I'll be taking today is how to determine your total revenue. All right, as simple as that sounds, some people, some managers, some hotel owners, some hospitality owners, or some staff in the hotel or hospitality space don't even know what is their actual revenue, what is their total revenue. Now I'm going to share with you. Now for a typical hotel, we have 3 major segments of revenue that comes into the hotel. All right. Number 1 is what we'll call the rooms revenue. The rooms revenue is the revenue that comes from lodging and accommodation. So every money that comes into the hotel for the purpose of lodging and accommodation, whether it is a walk-in guest reservations, or booking, whatever you call it, is under rooms revenue. All right. Now, the other one is called F&B revenue. This F&B revenue is the total revenue that comes from food and beverage. Yes, you heard me well. The total revenue that comes from food and beverage. So whatever beverage you're selling in your facility, as that revenue is coming in, is supposed to be accounted for under beverage revenue. Then when it has to do with food, whether it is pastries, the breakfast buffet, whatever kind of food, no matter the outlet that is selling it, that revenue should come under the food revenue. So when you combine the two, or when you add the two, the one that is coming from the food revenue and the beverage revenue, you call it F&B revenue. Now, as much as these are the two key revenues that comes into a hotel or a hospitality business, there are still some other revenue generating streams which are categorized under a subsection called MOD. Now, what is MOD? Minor other departments. Now, these minor other departments, it depends on the scale of the hotel. It depends on the capacity of the hotel. It could be high, it could be low. But however, these MOD are not usually the major income or revenue generating sections of the hotel. However, they also bring in revenue. For example, a hotel that has a laundry service to guests who are outside the hotel or a house. All right, so this revenue is captured, right, as laundry revenue, but it is categorized under minor other departments revenue. Now, if you have what we call corkages, rentals, it could be open space rental, it could be banquet hall rentals, and mini mart. Then there is also mini marts. Some have mini marts. Some also do business service like printing, photocopying, and all of those little services that can be rendered in a hospitality facility or a hotel facility, and then it is all categorized under the umbrella term minor other departments. So when all this revenue are calculated and accounted for under MOD, that makes up for the three key revenue sectors or sections of a hotel business. All right, so I'm going to recap that. We have the rooms revenue, we have the food and beverage revenue, and then we have minor other department revenue. Now, when you total these three sections of revenue, it gives you your total revenue. All right, do you see that? So with this now, you know what is your actual total revenue for your hotel business. From there, you can determine how much you're supposed to spend across these sections. All right, so using the IFRS standards, there is an unwritten rule that some hotel or hospitality businesses you have 100% of the revenue. So about 60 to 70% will come either from food or revenue, based on how the hotel is planned or established or run to generate revenue. So if the concentration of the hotel is mainly on the rooms, lodging and accommodation, so it is expected that about 60 to 70% of the hotel revenue is coming from rooms. Now that leaves the remaining percentage out of 100 to food and beverage and MOD. And food and beverage takes about 20 to 30% of that, of the revenue. So it should contribute about 20 to 30% to the total net revenue, whereas minor other departments contributes between 5 to 10%, as the case may be. However, if the hospitality or hotel facility has a strong focus on food and beverage and entertainment, you will realize that about 60 to 70% of its revenue will be generated from food and beverage, and it has probably have a bit of accommodation services. So the other 20-30% will come from the accommodation and lodging, while about 5 to 10% will now come from minor other departments. So with this, I want to believe that you now know, or you've been reminded what you know before, of how to calculate the total net revenue of your business every month, every week, or yearly. All right, so in our next episode, or in the next part of this series, we are going to be looking at how to determine to pay your staff salary. How do you pay staff salaries? Okay, what percentage of the total net revenue is supposed to be budgeted or set aside for the payment of staff salaries? So, however, you cannot do that without knowing how much you're supposed to make as your total net revenue, because staff salaries must come from revenue. So thank you so much for joining us today. Of course, I will see you in the next video. Please like and subscribe, share with your friends, share with your colleagues, share with your managers, share with other business owners, and then I will see you in the next video. Thank you.